We will continue with the letters, inshallah, of Bediüzzaman Said Nursi Mektubat, in its original name. We did the first letter halfway. Last week, we looked at the levels of life, different levels of life. You might remember, he said there are 5 levels of life. And in the first letter, there's a second question. Inshallah, we will continue from the second question because it's Mektubat, as the name suggests, letters. So there are certain questions that was put to Bediüzzaman Said Nursi, and he answers them. And this question is, in the Quran, Sure-i Mülk says, who creates death and life that he may try you? Which of you is the best in conduct? So, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. The Quran says. So verses like this in the all-wise Quran, the criterion of truth and falsehood. This is very interesting. He uses these terms all the time throughout the Risales. He says the criterion of truth and falsehood for the Quran. So Quran is the thing that differentiates falsehood from the truth. It make it understood that the death is created like life. It too is a bounty, but on the face of it, death is dissolution, non-existence, decay, the extinction of life, the annihilator of pleasures, the ender of pleasures. So how can it be a created and how can it be a bounty? How can death be blessed? But the verse says it's blessed because Allah says, I have created death and life. So it is a created thing, death, which also means it is a mahluk. Created being is a mahluk, creature. The second thing is, it is a blessing. Death is a blessing. So they are asking him, how can it be a blessing? When you look at it, it's a dissolution, it's end of life, termination of life. And it seems like on the outside, it's going into non-existence, decaying of the body, extinction of all pleasures. So how can it be a blessing? So he's going to answer this question now. The answer, as it was stated at the end of the answer to the first question, death is a discharge from the duties of life. It is a discharge from the duties of life. It is a rest, a change of residence. Every word here, or every few words here is very significant. Because he says, first, death is a discharge from the duties of life. Duties of life. What does that mean? Imagine when you join the military service, you are there for a few years. The day that you walk out, I mentioned it last week too, discharge, it's called discharge from the army. You are not under control anymore. No pressure, you don't follow commands day and night, orders. Nobody tells you what time to sleep, what time to wake up, what time to master, So you feel like a feather as soon as you walk out of those gates. Because I experienced it too. You experienced it too, didn't you? The way you walk out of those gates, you feel like you're flying. So it is a discharge from the duties of life, because this life is all about duties. We are not here for fun and games. Although we are permitted to take pleasure out of life. Quran says, eat, drink, but do not waste. But in reality, we eat and drink so that we can be thankful. This is the purpose, really, in reality, from a spiritual perspective. From a physical perspective, the need repeats itself. That's why you need to eat and drink. Otherwise, you won't survive. So it is a discharge from the duties of life. It is a rest, he's saying. When you die, you actually rest. All the duties are removed from your shoulders. A change of residence. meaning that you are coming out of a very small place and entering a very, very huge place. When you think about that realm, that world, Jannah, inshallah, compared to the earth, Jannah is too big. Maybe it's not a very good, comparison, but, if you were to probably put earth into Jannah, it will be size of an atom or something within Jannah. That's how Jannah is big. So that is the purpose that we want to attain that. And you can't go there unless you die. That means death is a blessing for you to get there. A change of residence, I always use this analogy, if you get a blue whale is the biggest animal on earth. It was the biggest animal in history as well. Even dinosaurs were not bigger than blue whale. Blue whale is about 150 tons. 30 meters long. It's a huge animal, still exists now. If you put a blue whale in an Olympic-sized pool, for us, it's a big pool, 25 meters by 50. We do laps. But you put a whale in there, it is like a dungeon, squeezed in there. The whale will say, no, I'm not created for this. I'm created for the oceans. We are not created for earth in reality. We are like that whale, on earth. Because our true residence is Jannah. Why? Because our ancestor comes from there. Adam and Hawa, they came from there originally. So it's in our natural disposition to seek Jannah. It's in our natural disposition. So with death, we will change residence. It is a transformation of existence. Üstad says, Bediüzzaman, what does that mean? Our bodies, which are subjected to certain physical laws, which is like, for example, the second law of thermodynamics, which is entropy. Everything moves from order to chaos. Eventually, our bodies wear off, and it starts to lose itself. We get older. We start getting ill, We can't do the things that we used to do. Eventually, we head towards death anyway. It's a decline with all of us. It's the reality, every human being. So what happens with death is we go through a transformation, like in the Transformers. Our car becomes a huge robot. So we go in a way through a transformation where we attain, because soul never die, but on the day of judgment, we will attain a physical body as well. Because in Islamic theology, Ahl Sunnat wal Jamaat believes resurrection will be both physical and spiritual. Bediüzzaman Said Nursi explains that as well. They asked him, why would it be physical as well? We will still have nafs there, so we can get taste, pleasure out of Jannah. Why, they ask him, he says, because on earth, when you worshipped Allah, when you followed his commandments, when you took wudu, for example, when you pray 5 times a day, you did not do this only with your soul, you did it with your body, with your limbs. So your limbs will be rewarded for that too, he says. They're not just going to be wasted. They're going to be rewarded. But the body will transform. It will go through this transformation because there, the body will not wear off. It will not be subjected to certain laws of physics. It will always remain young. And this is possible that we know. Even in this world, he gave us some examples, which we talked about before. The immortal jellyfish. It exists, immortal jellyfish. You can do a little research and you'll see it. Technically, this jellyfish should never die, technically. Because as soon as it gets towards adulthood, it starts renewing its cells and it becomes an infant again. The cycle continues. If no other animal preyed on it, He ate it all. If there was no diseases, sometimes it can die through disease as well. Technically, it should never die because the cells keep on regenerating itself. So Allah already shows a little sample to us in this world. So he can do that even much, much, much advancedly on the other side. So he will give us a body that will not wear off. It will not get old. It will not get sick. So we will have a different body is there, but we will still look the same. So we shouldn't have any doubts about that. We will still look the same. We will still feel the same as well. And in fact, Ömer radiallahu an asked this question to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, how will I be there after I die in Barzakh, or on the other side? The Prophet said, just as you are now. And Omar said, Alhamdulillah. So you will be yourselves still, because our identity never dies. Just a younger version, Alhamdulillah.
33 years old.
Yes, this is good news, especially for us. The younger people will not realize the importance of this, but we know. Yeah, sometimes. He's physically young, but he's got some kilometers there,
On the clock.
On the clock, yes. So you can see he says that it is a transformation of existence. And this is the most important one. He says it is an invitation to eternal life. Invitation. Death is an invitation to eternal life. A beginning, not the end. The creation is appointed, the introduction to an immortal life, deathless life, just as life comes into the world through an act of determined and is planned, act of creation and is appointed and determined. So departure from this world is created and determined and is planned wisely and purposefully. Now, this is very interesting. He says, just as life is a determined thing, planned thing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, death is the same. So they are both miracles. They are both miracles. So it is an invitation to eternity. Eternity. But sometimes, unfortunately, many people in the world, fall for the temporal pleasures, transient, fleeting pleasures, and they only lose themselves, unfortunately. There is an allegory that I use all the time, a very, very powerful king once upon a time. He invited the poorest, man in his kingdom. The guy could hardly find a piece of bread or something. And he sent him, the king sent him his best man, his highest level general, with the invitation in his hand. And he brought it to the man, and he said, the king is inviting you to his palace. And the guy is shocked because he's the poorest guy. He took the invitation, and he runs towards the palace. And he comes to the palace, huge gates. He goes through the gates. There's a huge garden. He has to walk all the way to the palace. And as he walks through the garden, he sees this watermelon there, growing in the garden. Because he hasn't, he's a poor man. He goes, I should just grab this and run. If he walks into the palace, he's going to be greeted. He's going to be looked after. The king is inviting him. Imagine the blessings bounties he's going to get, but he gets his eyes fixed on that watermelon and he starts running with it. This is similar to this world. Some people don't realize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting us to his palace, not not the palace in Fasha. Allah is beyond, time and space. He's inviting us to his Jannah, an eternal place, an eternal place. But this world that we live on is like a watermelon. We are grabbing onto it. We don't want to let go. Whether you want to let go or not, you are going to let go one day. You got no other option. This world one day will come. It will kick you in the butt, sorry for the thing expression, and push you into that hole. No matter how hard you hold on to it, it's a reality. So the ways that plants die, plant life begins the simple level of life, show their death to be more orderly, work of art than life itself. For although the death of fruits, seeds, and grains appear to occur through their decay and dissolution, it is in fact a sort of kneading and comprises exceedingly well-ordered chemical reactions and a balanced combining of elements and wise formation of particles. So when a seed dies, you might think it's just decomposing. Not in reality, it is not. It is going through a miraculous chemical reaction. It looks like it's dying, but in reality, it's getting ready to give new shoots. It's going to turn into a new tree. So it is a miracle. So their unseen, orderly, and wise deaths appear through the life of the new shoots. That is to say, the death of a seed is the onset of the shoot's life. Indeed, since its death is life, like life itself, it is created and regular and the same as life is. So death is created, it's regular, and it's as valuable as life. Moreover, the death of living fruits or animals in the human stomach is the beginning of their rising to the level of human life. I mentioned this once before. When we eat the meat of animals, when we eat fruits, we pluck them from their, branches, they die, yeah? When we start chewing on them, they die another time. When they go into our stomach, they die another time with acid. But what happens? They become part of us. So a fruit rises its level to the level of a human being. They become part of us. So the death that befalls human life, the highest level of life, must be the same, even more miraculous. Similarly, as the seed sown in the ground becomes a tree in the world of the air, so a man or woman who is laid into the earth will surely produce the shoots of an everlasting life in the intermediate realm, which is the Berzah, Alemi Berzah. So now for the aspects of death, which are the bounties, we shall point out 4 of them. Why is death such a blessing? We shall point 4 of them. The first one, death is a great bounty because it means one is freed, as mentioned before, from the duties and obligations of this life, which become burdensome. Life does become burdensome, yeah? You have to, survive. You have to look after your family. You have to pay this. You have to pay that. So much thing that you carry on your shoulder, and you do it throughout your life. Slowly, it becomes burdensome. And the weight of the life living slowly pushes you down. That is why as you got older, your body starts arching. Another thing about that is as you get older, you realize your one eye is towards the grave. It's looking at there because the weight is pushing you down slowly. And I have seen people just waiting for death. And I realize that death is a blessing. years ago, I knew this person when I used to live in North Melbourne. The guy was 96 or something like that. You know how we came, parked our cars, and walked up the stairs. 2 minutes. The guy used to walk from here to the end of the room, maybe in half an hour. He did it like this. And when we asked him, I remember years ago, how are you? He said, I'm just waiting for him to take me. I'm waiting for him to take me. So life gets burdensome. Who wouldn't like to go back to their youth and never get old again? Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't? And another thing, brothers might remember, some of the brothers, I explained this as well. Some years ago, at a bus stop, I saw these two ladies sitting, elderly ladies, they were both over 80, but one of them was more thin, like more healthy, she looked. The other one looked a little bit more older. And the other one was crying. And I wondered, I approached, I said, why is she crying? She said, she's, afraid of death. Because time is coming, she realizes. And they were non-Muslims, but they believed in God. So I sat there with these old ladies. I started explaining things to them. The more I explained, her eyes, it started to shine. I can see it. The hope started getting in there. I said, this is nothing. Don't worry about that. I know you're getting aging, and I know it will happen to all of us. But I said, it will be the beginning, not the end. You will be young again. I started explaining. She became very happy. So belief in Ahira gives us hope as well, a big hope. Makes you psychologically, healthy as well. So death is also a doorway through which one passes in order to join and be united with one's friends, family members, relatives, loved ones, where 99 out of 100 of whom has already gone to the other side. And slowly, the younger you are, you will see more and more eventually. Because when you get older, the people that you knew, one by one starts going. One by one starts going. And you say, we used to sit together. We used to do people that you knew very close. They all go. They all go. And eventually people, your mom, your dad, beloved, everyone goes. Well, 99% is on the other side, he says. When you include, the prophet, the companions of the prophet, imagine, But I always, again, use this example, if you're living in Melbourne, and everyone you know, and everyone you love, every friend you have, let us say they all moved to, for example, Queensland or something. Wouldn't you wish to go there as well? Because you're all left alone. Everyone is going there. You would be longing to go there as well. Because you want to be reunited with them. They are your loved ones. So he says, in a way, it's reunification. Coming together again. Well, that's what death allows you to do. The second one is why death is blessing. It is to be released from the narrow, irksome, turbulent prison of this world, and to receive an expansive, joyful, trouble-free, immortal life, and to enter the sphere of the eternally beloved one's mercy. Because when you die, you enter the sphere of the beloved, merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As in the example that I gave, you're going into his palace. Palace of mercy, garden of mercy, whatever you want to call it. So it is to be released from this narrow, like a dungeon. The world is like a dungeon for human beings. And sometimes we feel that on occasions, when we have these issues, problems, the big world becomes like a very narrow place to us. We don't know where to escape psychologically. It happens to all of us. It is small for us because we weren't meant to be living here for eternity. We weren't created really for Earth. Earth is like a place where you go temporarily, or like a hotel you stay in. Few days, 1 week. But everyone knows, sometimes just people don't want to understand or accept it, but they all know there is a date when they're going to check out. I can't stay in there forever. They know, all of us know. When we go into a hotel, we all know that.
There's one exception.
But some people,
There's one exception.
the hotel owner,
California.
Hotel California, you can never check out. But the thing is this, some people, when they're in the hotel, they're staying there so that they don't want to think about the reality that this temporal thing will pass, and I will leave this place. They keep on drinking, jumping up and down, and they think they're tricking themselves. No, it doesn't work that way. The reality will come and hit you on the head. It's a reality because, yes. And the third thing is, third blessing, there are numerous factors like old age, which make life arduous and show death to be far more superior bounty, as I explained before. When you reach that age, if we ever reach it, we realize that life, the quality of life drops. Keep on dropping, because you come to a situation where some people cannot even stand up anymore. They are lying there. Other people need to feed them. They cannot even go to the toilet. That is why, when I make dua, I say, I want to die standing. Vertical. I want to die vertical. Because, well, at least you will not be dependent on anyone. It's very important. Because you are causing issues or hardship to others as well when you're like that. So it does become burdensome. So at that situation, you realize how, blessed death is. For example, if together with your very elderly parents who cause you much distress, you beheld before you your grandfather's grandfather, in all their pitiful state, you would really understand what a calamity life is and what a blessing death is. How beautiful, isn't it? Think about it. You have your grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandmother, great-great-great-great-grandmother, great-mother, all living with you. Some of them reach the age of 300 something, all right? Just skin and bones. They can't do anything for themselves. They can't even stand up. They can't go to the showers. You have to wash them. They can't go to the toilet. You have to clean them. They can't eat and drink. You have to feed them. You will understand how blessed death is. And it is, isn't it? When you realize that it is a blessing. Another example, one can imagine how difficult life is in the harsh conditions of winter for the beautiful flying insects, the lovers of the beautiful flowers, and what a mercy death is for them. Don't we see when summer, we see all these beautiful, butterflies, beetles, they're flying around, they're landing on the flowers. They love those, beautiful flowers. But what happens to when winter comes? If they could not die, it is a suffering for them. Winter would be a suffering for them. That is why Allah, brings death to all of them. They all disappear during winter. And then he brings them back during spring and summer again. The fourth blessing of death, interesting. So if somebody here heard us who are non-Muslims, look at these guys, they will say, are they out of their mind? They talk, about death and saying it's a blessing. They wouldn't understand it. The fourth, just as sleep is a comfort, a mercy, a rest, particularly for people who are afflicted by disaster and the wounded and the sick, so too is death for the elder brother of a sleep. The Prophet says, death is the elder brother of sleep, similar to sleeping. But imagine, how blessing is sleep for people who are sick. When you're really sick, you got pains and suffering and things like that. As soon as you fall asleep beautiful, everything is gone. All pain is gone. So it is a blessing for the ill. So is death for people. Death is the same blessing for people, but it is not entering into non-existence. It is like a sleep, as he mentioned. Because alemi berzah, as you know, because their souls never die, they enter alemi berzah. It's the realm of the intermediary world. It's a different dimension that Allah puts us in. And in that realm, our souls will wait until the day of judgment. And there, it'll be similar to sleep, he says. But for people who lived accordingly with taqwa, fear of Allah, that realm, the sleep in there will be a very joyful sleep. Sometimes you see dreams that you don't want to even wake up from. It's so beautiful. And you get angry when it finishes. it happens. You don't want to, why did I wake up? Well, this was beautiful, And it will be similar to that for those people. But for other people who rejected Allah, who rebelled towards Allah, that world and that sleep, there will be no physical pain there. Because, Jannat, Jahannam is where people will feel physical things. But within the realm of, Barzah, they will experience spiritual punishment. People who assign partners to Allah and that sort of people, they will assign, spiritual punishment. It'll be like a dream, he says that as well, but not a dream, maybe a nightmare, ongoing nightmare. This time you would want to wake up from it. But the problem is also, Bediüzzaman says, the difference between a nightmare when you sleep and you see it, on your subconscious, you always know that this is a dream and you're going to wake up. But there, the opposite. You know that you're dead and you will not be able to wake up from it. And that's scary, isn't it? It is scary. So, however, as it's proved decisively in many of the words, when we were reading the words, you might remember, for the people of misguidance, death is a pure torment, the same as life, and pure affliction, but that is outside of the discussion here, he says. For them, it'll be like a torment. The third question, we still have time. Another question, this is an interesting question too. Where is hell? I asked him, where is hell? And he answers with verses first. Say, the knowledge is with God alone. Only Allah knows. None knows the unseen, the ghaib, save Allah. La ya'lamu ghaiba illallah. Only Allah knows the ghaib, the unseen. But here is the thing. When we look at Ahl Sunnat wal Jamaat theology, Aqidah, our Aqidah, we know that Jannat and Jahannam are created already. They are in existence. It is not like they will be created in the future. We know it, and it's very easy to, in particular, in regards to Jannat, but also there are verses about Jahannam too. We can prove it, from an Islamic perspective very easily. If you look at all the verses on, Jannah, Jahannam, it is always, Allah there always speaks in the past tense. Past tense. We have prepared for you. We had this for you. We have prepared palaces for you in Jannah. We have prepared, gardens, blessed garden for you in Jannah. It's all past tense. It means it exists right now. But you can look at it from two different perspectives. One, you can say that because for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, time is not valid. There's no such a thing as past, present, future for him. From his perspective, yes, it is created. You can look at it that way, from that perspective too. But also, like during Miraj, the noble Prophet ﷺ, when he ascended through the heavens, as you know, both Jannat and Jahannam was shown to him. So it is possible he went out of time. That's why he saw it. That's another thing. But as I said, Ahl Sunnat wal Jamaat view is that Jannat and Jahannam are in existence now. But at what form, we don't exactly know, because we are trapped in this slice of space-time. So he says, according to some narration, hell is beneath the earth. As we have explained in other places, this is gonna, maybe first time some of you will be hearing this, first time, because he has a very different view on this. In its annual orbit, the Earth, the globe, traces a circle, elliptic circle, we should say, an area around the sun, which in the future will accommodate for the great gathering and the day of judgment. So what he's saying, that as the Earth goes around the sun, it draws this huge circle, yeah. But at the same time, they're moving too. The solar system is drawing a bigger circle around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. We are with the solar system, with the sun. Currently, we are traveling about 800,000 kilometers per hour. That's how fast we are going with the sun. Well, it's the sun that is going; it's pulling us too with it. As the sun goes, it's pulling us because of its gravity, and we are sort of like this helizonic, sort of, like this, like a vortex. We're going around it. You know how people usually draw the solar system? The sun is in the middle, and all the planets is going around it like a perfect circle. No, that's the wrong thing. That's not right astronomy. It is, in fact, the sun is moving like this around the galaxy, and all the planets around it go like this.
Astronomy.
And it's pulling us. It's pulling us. So what he is saying, Allahu Alam, perhaps, this huge area that is being lined up, huge circle that I say, maybe around the Milky Way, Allahu Alam. One day when the Qiyamah comes, the universe will transform into Akhirat. It will not be completely going into non-existence. There's not such a teaching. It will be destroyed, but then it will be smoothed out, that area that he's saying. And that area that the solar system covers will be the area of Mahshar. Meydan Mahshar. That's what he's saying. Meydan Mahshar. And it means that hell is beneath the area of this orbit. Beneath. Allahu Alam. We don't know. Within and another idea that I get from this, I do this explanation because as the earth goes around the sun and as they all move, every day thousands of people are dying, about 200,000 people approximately. And those people who die, their souls, their spirits are planted in that area that the earth passes, in that space. Maybe the barzakh is all there, you know, they are getting planted there, the souls. And by the time that huge circle is completed, maybe there will be billions of souls around there on that huge space. And Allah will straighten that place and it will be mahshar. And whoever is, you know, planted where, their souls, they will resurrect from there. They will come up from there again. They will be given physical bodies. I'm about to finish, inshallah. So it means hell is below that. Maybe not in a physical direction, but in a spiritual direction, it could be too. Or within the vast stretch of space traveled by the earth, many creatures are found that are invisible to us because they are without light. This is interesting too. Imagine he wrote this how many years ago? How many years ago? Maybe 1930s or something. Now we are talking about dark matter. Okay. In the past, everyone thought space was just empty, void, you know. But now we know in physics that it is not absolute vacuum. Space is made up of something. And he says there may be many things as we travel through the, you know, the universe or through the Milky Way. There may be many things we cannot see because they are not visible. They don't have light. So for us to see things, they need to have light. But we know there are things that doesn't emit light, but they exist. At the moment, we know now. And it's interesting. He said this then, you know. So just as the moon loses its existence when its light recedes, if there's no sun shining onto the moon becomes dark. So we are unable to see numerous lightless globes, planets, stars, whatever, you know, or other things, and creatures, although they are before our eyes. We are unable to see them. Just because we don't see something, it doesn't mean it does not exist. That's what it means. It doesn't mean it does not exist. Okay, inshallah, I'll stop there. Okay, we'll stop there. We done two. No, we did first letter still. We're on still first letter.